Irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
You're listening to Peace Fund Radio with Ethan Dettenmaier and Adrian Paul, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Oh yeah. Hold on a second. I'm just tweeting out a picture. Peace Fund Radio 2015. Well, it's that first one right now. I'm going to post that right now so you can see exactly what I'm looking like right now. Oh, cannot send tweet. Oh dear.
Fantastic.
Oh dear.
Technology at its
yeah,
finest.
it's fabulous. So how are you doing this morning?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Oh, stressed.
Yeah, it sounds like it. The pre-show conversation in studio is always one of the more hilarious moments.
Yes, isn't it just?
Everyone getting together for the first time for that broadcast, and everyone talking about what has happened in the last 6 to 7 days.
Yeah. Well, I can't believe, and I'm sure all of you out there are exactly the same, how fast right now things are actually moving. These weeks, I feel like I did the radio show yesterday.
Yeah.
Last week's one is just...
Time is moving quickly. Progress is not.
Too quickly. Well, no, progress is, and that's sometimes the problem, is progress is too quickly, and we can't keep up with it. So yeah. I think, that's part of the issue. And, we talk, again, we are in protecting at the moment. We're running our campaign for Jordan at the moment.
Yes,
so for those of you who want to check that out, thank you to those of you that have donated. And actually this weekend I'm going to Sacramento, to the Sacramento Con. And for the very first time ever, I'm going to be doing a sword demonstration where you can actually get involved with the sword demo, watch what we do, and I'm going to actually recreate the end fight from one of the Highlander episodes.
Really?
Yeah, it's going to be the Samurai, which is where Duncan MacLeod got his samurai sword, and you two can actually participate in that fight because you will also get your own sword to do the moves. We'll do a few moves, and everybody can get to see what it's actually like. All the money that there is a fee involved for the entry, and all that money will go to the Jordan initiative that we have on the Peace Fund Radio.
That's excellent. What's the entry fee?
$50.
Yeah, that's very reasonable for something like that.
$50. It'll
a
be
lifetime experience.
Yeah, it'll be Highland. You'll get to know a few things that nobody ever know, and you actually get to do some things and learn some moves, and really feel what it was like to be in my shoes and other people's shoes when they do those sword fights.
Oh, let me tell you, I was at my Aikido school. Every Friday was Weapons Day, which was not one of my favorite days because I never saw myself fighting with a samurai sword in public. But it was fascinating, and some of the experts they brought in, it's really kind of unreal what they do.
Do you know, it's funny because you think you know what it's all about when you see it on TV, and then when you get involved in it, there are so many other factors that affect the fight or affect the situation. And and the other thing I do in my Q&As, which I will probably do again at Sacramento, is our quickening experience, and everybody gets up to show me their best quickening, and it's amazing to see what people do, what it looks like on TV, but what the actual the real basis of doing a quickening, what it actually means, the same thing as a sword fight, what it looks like and what it is to do it are two totally different things. So we always have a great time watching people do it, and it's everybody, young, old, male, female, boy, girl, all come up and do something. And sometimes we actually offer prizes to the best quickening, which I might even offer this week, which will be a surprise, but we'll leave that alone.
I remember standing with you when that concept was devised. I believe Tommy Yoon of Robotech fame was with us in that meeting. Brilliant guy that he is. Yeah,
that was actually really fun because I actually I thought it was a really cool idea. I thought, well, yeah, let's just try it. And I've done it 3 times, I think, now, at 3 different cons. And it has been, I actually haven't posted the last ones, which I should do. I'll see if I can get those up today from the people that actually did the con I was last at, which was in
Philadelphia, right?
Philly, thank you.
So let me get this straight. $50 gets you in on this samurai thing.
Correct. Well, it'll be a samurai, it'll be a two-handed. If you watch the episode, the samurai, you will see the very last fight that was in it that had a couple of interesting moves, and they're moves that have been done before as well, but it'd be fun to see how they actually work.
So you get a chance to do a once-in-a-lifetime samurai experiment, and you get to help make the world a better place.
Exactly. So
what more do you want for $50? And it's tax deductible, right?
And it's
should be.
No, I don't know. It's not. The reason why it's not tax deductible is because you're actually getting something for it.
Oh.
A tax deductible donation means that you actually are not getting anything except helping somebody. If it is a value, and this is always the tricky thing when you're dealing with a charity, you have to make sure that you know the parameters. When you donate to a charity, if you get something like a gift or something else, that value of that gift is deducted from your donation. So if your value of the gift is higher than your donation, you get no tax deduction.
Are donations to the Peace Fund tax deductible?
Yes, those are tax deductible because they are pure donations. Donations to Jordan, $25, $50, whatever you want to.
Okay.
Those are all tax deductible.
Still fantastic.
Donations. So yes. United Nations World Refugee Day is observed on June 20th in 3 days every year. This event honours the courage, strength and determination of men, women and children who are forced to flee their homeland under threat of persecution, conflict and violence. And since we are in Protection Month at the moment, it's very apt that we're doing this. Latest estimates show that 16.7 million refugees worldwide, 50% of these are actually children. So 8.3 million children are refugees right now. The UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Antonio Guterres, said all around the world we are seeing families fleeing violence. The numbers are massive. But we must not forget that there are mothers and fathers, daughters and sons, people who led ordinary lives before war forced them to flee. On this World Refugee Day, everyone should remember the things that connect us all, our common humanity. And you can hashtag World Refugee Day to just support that cause. So, we've talked about a couple of things. I still believe we have Carrie Elways coming on next week. I've tweeted him this morning to see if he's actually going to still be able to.
Is that how you guys do it now? You hipsters,
we
tweet each other?
We tweet each other. It's the only way we can do it these days. It's, you spend the.
So you have a public record of him booking the appearance just in case a guest has a scheduling conflict?
Well, yes, exactly. You got to make sure, Hey, how you doing? You're available next week,
I guess they need to follow the Peace Fund to follow the conversation.
Ah, yes. Well, there you go. That's
so there's our
shameless
plug to follow us on Twitter.
Yes, all of you can follow us on Twitter. Go ahead, follow.
Follow us on Twitter, and hey, make a donation, not just for the good of the world around you, but so we can continue to work with Teachers Without Borders, buy things that hospitals overseas needs, put dental clinics in the third world, those kind of things that this show brings you information on, and those kind of things in general requires the help from you, the audience. So not only should you follow, but you should try to reach out and do what you can to help others.
The one thing that I always find that there is a very important thing. There's been some. We talked about the scandals just recently. One is the cancer societies that have taken $1 million. They've taken $1 million in donations and not done things. That was something we highlighted last week. There are some things that do not have accountability, and you have to look at the organizations that have accountability. That's why we do some large events, and we do some small things such as our Helping Hand initiative, which has just been started, and the first recipient will be Jordan, so that you can see things constantly that will be able to be tax deductible items that you can use to help a kid that is directly in need right now, and you can see the results on our pages that what that money's going to and how it's affecting the child. Then we have larger ones which sometimes are in association with some of our other organizations like Children's Organ Transplant Association or Mercy and Sharing out of Haiti, and so we are constantly bringing those things, and we do love to highlight some of our other semi-partners, in a sense, who are our heroes of the week that we highlight each week on the Peace Fund Radio. So, and as well as that, we will be this year again having a poker tournament. Setting that up now. We just had last year's video that is going to be on our poker site very shortly, Peace Fund Poker. That site will be revamped and brought back up to date in the next week or two. So you'll be able to find out all the way there is. Our last year's winner, I understand, was able to just go to the 2015 World Series of Poker tournament. He decided to go into that. I think he was in last weekend. So it's kind of fun to see that it does have fun. You can have fun doing it, and you can help kids while you're at the same time. Last year, our recipients were wells bring hope, where we were able to build a couple of wells in Niger, West Africa. So, but right now, this week, we're still in child labour and human trafficking, which is, there are some very big facts here that we're talking about. 218 million children around 5 to 17 are involved in child labour worldwide.
Shocking.
Yeah, well, it's a huge number. 218 million. As I said before, that's more than half the amount of people in the United States right now. So if you look across from anybody that you're sitting there, half the people in the room that you're sitting in, or half the people, the class you do your education in, would necessarily be in a child labour, could possibly be in child labour. So it's a staggering number. Children below the age of 18 years represent between 40 to 50% of all child forced labour victims. The International Labour Organization, the ILO, estimates that more than two-thirds of all child labour is in the agricultural sector. Children in rural areas begin agricultural labour as young as 5 to 7 years old. And the last fact is 126 million children work in hazardous conditions, often enduring beatings, humiliation, and sexual violence by their employers. So we want to stop that. We want to actually bring attention to these issues and find those organisations who are doing and making a difference in the world and trying to stop this type of exploitation of kids. So what is the best way to do that? As we in the Peace Fund really believe, Peace Fund stands for Protect, Educate, Aid Children Everywhere. Education is something that is key to the future of being successful in some of these things. Question really is, why do kids go to work instead of they go to school? What do you think? Why is that?
Are you asking me, or
well,
is
yeah,
that a
here's a
rhetorical
question. Here's a question, because I have some of the answers. Because I mean, there are many factors. What's your feeling on it?
Adrian, I have many feelings on this topic, but we both know that you love to stump your producer here with what is known as a trick question.
I don't stump you. I'm just asking your opinion.
I'm sure.
I just need opinions.
What good does dental work in the third world do? Question mark. And there's always a trick answer to make me. I don't need any help from you, Paul, to look silly. All right, I could do that. I could do that well enough on my own. I don't need your trick questions to do it.
The thing is, a lot of people, the interesting thing is, the reason why children go to work, I mean, despite the abhorrence of child labour worldwide, many people accept it as a necessary evil because we have goods and services that supply us. Really simple. Poverty is often cited as the main cause, but, it's widely believed that families will not be able to cope if their children don't work.
Can I ask you to draw a direct parallel for the audience between what you're saying and, say, Walmart?
Well, I mean, a lot of let's take Walmart for instance. I don't know their practices, and I'm not saying that this is true or not. But certain manufacturers, certain people buy their goods from organizations overseas, whether it's India, China, or any other Indonesia, any other manufacturing company that employs children to manufacture those goods. That is something it is part of that company's procedure, and they have to do due diligence on those manufacturers to find out whether or not they do employ children in labour, whether it is forced labour, whether it's accepted labour, whether it's labour in that country to manufacture those goods. So again, I think that's something that has to be policed. To find out whether these companies actually do this. And Walmart are a very large company, and I'm sure that they don't have that type of practice, but there may be one or two manufacturers that slip through. And
they don't do diligence on everybody, probably.
Well, it's very hard to do that. I mean, I actually watched a program a few months ago that cited cruelty to certain children, and it was, I think it was also animal. And it was an undercover thing which was being used by a major manufacturer as part of something they bought. But when you went in there to actually bring the cameras in there hidden, you could see that there was being mistreatment in that particular facility. The manufacturer was told absolutely not. We do this, and they're shown, because obviously manufacturers have representatives that go in, and they have to go in and have people look at the conditions. And I'm sure some of these manufacturers show them the front side, but in the back, there's another story going on.
Right.
So I mean, I think it's very hard. I think, but we have to be very aware of it so that we can actually talk about it and actually do something about it. I mean, child labour leads to, at the time, it leads to lower wages and higher unemployment among adults. Really simple, because children who work don't go to school and end up on low-paid jobs later on anyway, and so will their kids. So it's a total vicious cycle. Poverty is totally perpetuated in that cycle. Now, there's also entrenched attitudes, social injustice, and lack of political will. You've got some areas that consider it normal for children to work instead of going to school. Parents who never attended school, for example. I mean, you have parents that never went to school. They're like, well, why do my kids need to go to school? Right. They believe that education is not for them, and they don't see the point of it. That still exists. Education is power. It allows you to think for yourself. These parents think that the work is part of a child's upbringing and that the children learning from working than at school have a better chance. But supposedly, children learn more practical skills and are better prepared for the labour market if they work. If it's considered normal for children to work and the importance of education is not clear, there's little social pressure to send children to school. So the point is, it's us socially that have to apply that pressure to show people that kids do need to go to school.
Right.
Really simple. Poor education, discrimination, exclusion. Even if some parents want to send their kids to school, they can't necessarily make it happen. This might be related to the poor education system, discrimination, vulnerable position of girls, costs, illness, bureaucratic obstacles. And one of the major problems is actually HIV/AIDS, especially in Africa. There's millions of kids that have to care for their sick parents or are orphaned as a result of the AIDS epidemic. And they're left with little choice but to work if there's no help to care for them. So the AIDS epidemic actually makes many victims among teachers. The result is overcrowded classes and no school at all. So again, that's another situation that we have to talk about. Let's bring John Bealey in, because I know we have a couple of guests coming in about 10 minutes or so, but let's have a little chat with John. John, are you there?
Good morning, gentlemen. Ethan, Adrian, how are you guys this morning?
Fabulous. Fabuloso.
Good.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing very well. I'm actually communicating with our guests as we speak, getting everything lined up for the call in a few minutes. We've got some awesome guests this morning.
Fabulous. All right. So let's just talk about the trafficking this morning. We're talking about protecting children, and I know that we have a couple of our, as you just said, a couple of our heroes of the week that are working actually in some of the areas we're discussing. Mm-hmm. But the interesting thing is, it's not just the education, discrimination, exclusion. We talked about those. We talked about that. There's also the position of girls, and a lot of things that girls don't have. They can't go to school. Sometimes they're abducted, raped, and even on the way to school, some of these kids are.
Have you seen that documentary, On the Way to School?
No. What is it?
Oh, it's beautiful. You have to see it. It's kids in different parts of the world going to school, and in Africa they have to run through the desert for 4 hours every morning and avoid elephants and all kinds of craziness to get to their school. And in Argentina they have to take like an hour and a half horse ride through the canyon, and in Morocco they have to cross like the desert for 2 hours.
And this is what I don't understand.
Exactly.
This is what I don't understand.
And here it's like you can't get someone up to go to school. It's a block away from your house.
Exactly. To go like 15 minutes or 20 minutes or 5 minutes even to school. You're so lucky. And I think sometimes some of those programs, what's this program called, Ethan?
It's called On the Way to School.
On the Way to School. Check it out, people. We'll put that on the Way to School. And give it to your kids, give it to your friends, give it to somebody else and say, look, kids around the world have to endure this because they want to learn. You have the ability and the opportunity to learn. Why negate that? Why, or bring these kids over here and let them learn in your place? How would you like that?
And we've had so many heroes of the week too over the years who have worked really hard with education. I think about Elena Podmoro from Little Women for Little Women in Afghanistan, who educates girls over there and has done so for a very long time. Education is such a big thing for so many of these kids. It's just the path right out of it. But the thing is, if the local government, if the governments of these countries aren't educating the kids, then who's going to do it? And you've got kids in the United States who are, I feel like sometimes working harder to educate kids across the world than what some of these governments are doing.
Well, you talked about girls a second ago. A lot of the time, girls sometimes, even if they do go to school, if their parents become ill, they're usually the first ones to stay at home to look after them. So it's an unfortunate situation, and there must be some sort of way we could stop that. we've got to stop to work to stop child labour. Every child in the world has the right not to work. Really do. I mean, you've got to be able to grow up in a healthy society where you can actually play and learn rather than work before you've actually even taken those steps. It's like running before walking. You'll never have a proper stability when you grow up. Unfortunately, you've got many of those kids fall into the cracks and can't get out. I mean,
Right.
it's got to be a global effort to fight child labour, which is increasingly, evidently, and incredibly important, and at its heart for those of us to stand up and speak out for these kids. You know, one voice can be drowned out, you know, especially when you've got other people that have other opinions based on it. But even a small group, just don't let your voice go unheard. Speak up, speak out, and talk to these people that the organisations that actually do that, help support them. I mean, again, human trafficking, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. We discussed that last week, right, guys?
Right.
It's unbelievable. I mean, to me, of all of the numbers and statistics and news stories we've heard on this show, I think the one that upsets me the most and astounds me the most is the fact that the Super Bowl is the largest human trafficking event in the United States every year. That's staggering to me.
Can you believe that? You go to the Super Bowl with your kid and the kid's gone?
It's crazy.
Think about that.
And to think that, I mean, this is, but what bothers me so much is that it's known. I mean, to me, the headline the day after the Super Bowl every year should be, here's who won the Super Bowl, here's the number of children who were liberated, and here's the number of traffickers who are about to learn the true meaning of captivity by sitting in prison forever.
So, John,
if we know that that's going on, it just astounds me that there's not. If it's the biggest human trafficking operation in the United States every year, it should also be the biggest human trafficking sting in the United States every year. Let's get these guys.
What I want to know is, how the trafficking, you know, how does trafficking work at the Super Bowl? What, do you go over there and go, listen, dude, I've got a young kid that's only 5 years old, they're useful for work or whatever, you know, do you want to buy them? I mean, how does that work? I mean, you know...
Well, there was a big story earlier this year that Greg Abbott, who is the Texas Attorney General, he's one of the big advocates who's fighting really hard against this. He said that there were 10,000 prostitutes. Many of them were trafficking victims, and most of them were children who were brought into Miami for the Super Bowl in 2010. 133 arrests for people who had sex with minors at the Dallas Super Bowl in 2011. And that when they had the Super Bowl in Indianapolis recently, that there are lots of websites that pop up that cater to people who are looking to throw these parties. And if you know the right people, you can get whatever you want.
That's what's really scary. Is it's like a whole circle, like almost like a secret society of perversion that's like a part of the culture that's kind of like just below the surface. And that's what's really disturbing about this is the psychological side of this that's just so polluted.
You know, I'm just looking at some stuff here right now. I mean, regarding Super Bowl, I mean, there's over 10,000 prostitutes, many of whom are trafficking victims, were brought into Miami for the Super Bowl in 2010. 10,000. And during 2011, there were 133 arrests for sex with minors. That's sex with minors. Yes, you understood it. And then there are different places. Indianapolis in 2012, 1,000 postings on Backpage.com, an online posting site with space for adult entertainment services, listed services from women and escort services, and a quarter referenced the Super Bowl or Super Bowl specials, according to a Forbes report. So it's unclear.
Right, and the fine print for a lot of that is that a lot of those girls who are being trafficked again are children. And there was Dominique Rowe Sepowitz, who is an author and a social work professor at Arizona State University, was talking about how you've got men and you've got money together here, and that, in her quote, is that's what any market needs for sexual exploitation. And she's calling for law enforcement and the community to send a message. And that, to me, again, is, I just feel like if we know that the Super Bowl is the biggest human trafficking event, it should also be the biggest human trafficking sting every year. Right. Get these guys.
Correct, absolutely. I mean,
but it's hard because, as Ethan said, there's sort of this underground
movement
factor to it that they're hard to find. They're smart, and we need to be smarter.
Well, it's not only that. I mean, basically, you have so many postings that one law enforcement organization cannot handle it. They cannot
Right.
handle these crackdowns. I mean, you'd have to have a special task force to go in and police that for that event, which wouldn't be a bad idea to actually create. Somebody should say you should create some sort of police force that's solely for that one event that brings it up to it, and have them there, have them undercover and do that, and then sting them. And because it's always the same. Whenever you have the ability to do it, people will do it. When there is a deterrent to do it, people think twice. Might not eradicate it, but they'll definitely think twice and reduce the amount. But really, in a sense, it's not going to stop human trafficking. It really isn't. I mean, it's the only way that's going to be stopped is by educating people of the sweatshops that are out there, the people that are in domestic servitude, things of that nature.
That's a Vice Squad calling you right now, telling you they're putting a new sting
Hello,
in
we're
place.
in the Vice Squad. Right? Yeah, that was my phone. I mean, human trafficking is the second largest international crime industry today, behind illegal drugs. It generates a profit of $32 billion a year. Of that number, $15.5 billion is made in industrialized countries. An estimated 30 million people are somehow involved in the multi-billion-dollar global sex trafficking industry, and an estimated 2 million children, the majority of them girls, are sexually exploited in the multi-billion-dollar commercial sex industry. That's from UNICEF. And an estimated 1.2 million children are trafficked every year. Again, UNICEF has mentioned that. This is interesting. Somebody just tweeted something to me. I'm going to see if I can bring that up. Oh, there you go. It tells me I must log into Twitter. All right. Well, let's get going on that. John, can you bring us some information regarding our Heroes of the Week right now? Because we're going to be bringing them on in a second.
Yes, very excited about these guys. Back on our November 6th, 2013 show, which you can listen to in our archive at blog.thepeacefund.org or on the LA Talk Radio website, we told you about Sebouh Bazikian of Glendale, California. Now, Sebouh discovered that 15% of sub-Saharan Africa's 20 million orphans, that's 3 million kids, commit suicide by age 18 because they would rather end their lives than fall into the lives of poverty, crime, prostitution, sexual slavery, indentured labor that they know is waiting for them if they're not educated. Sebouh traveled to the Macau orphanage in Makueni, Kenya, and he walked 2 hours with these barefoot orphans who had to get to school by walking past this landfill, where you've got these barefoot kids walking through garbage, glass, and burning trash. And he was able to see this firsthand and think, okay, what can I do to make life better for these kids? They made bike paths. They were able to get 43 bicycles for the kids, which turned their very dangerous 2-hour commute into a 15-minute bike ride each way. Fantastic. The organization is called Bikes for Orphans. You can read about them at bikesfororphanage.blogspot.com and facebook.com/bikesfororphans. And in both of those, the 4 is the numeral 4. They provide these kids with fast, safe transportation to and from school to give them the educational opportunities they need to rise above and beyond their circumstances. Sebouh is joining us today with his brother Shawnt, who has been running Bikes for Orphans since Sebouh began college. They're going to talk to us firsthand about their experiences of what they've seen and how they've helped these kids. So I am going to go ahead and get Sebouh on the line. Ethan, if we can get Shawnt on Skype.
Yeah. Let me add him to the group.
Did you hear that? That was a definitive yeah, I think.
Well, no, I've been waiting to try this. Here we go.
So
I believe it's calling him.
Yeah, so it looks good. So yes, but again, these guys are just on the front lines of giving these kids, again, something very unique that they need to do something that all of us take for granted, which is just getting to school.
And just while you're talking about this, here's a number that's hard to ignore. Atlanta, Georgia, the number 1 human trafficking city in the country.
Yeah, that's what we said last week.
7,200 people in the state of Georgia purchase a child for sex each month. Even more troubling, the same child is sold 10 to 15 times to meet the high demand. Okay, this is rather disturbing. Do we have anybody on the line yet?
I believe so.
Hello?
Hello. Good morning.
Hello.
Hi, Shawnt. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Thank you so much for allowing us to be on your show.
Well, thank you for joining us, obviously. Is this Sebouh? Is it Shawnt or Sebouh?
This is Shawnt.
Shawnt.
Oh, okay, Shawnt. Do we have Sebouh yet?
Right.
He's on his way. I'm communicating with him right now.
Okay. So I know you've got bikes for orphans.
Yep.
Right.
How does it raise money? How does this work?
So we have a few different ways that we raise money. One of them is the main one is our annual bike-a-thon and hike-a-thon. We've done it for 2 years now, and we're planning our third one for next year. It's a really fun event where riders and regular supporters alike can come together to exercise while supporting the cause. And we've had roughly 150 people come for the past 2 years, and we're able to make roughly $9,000 at each event. So it's a really fun community event, and we've been having a blast, organizing it and everything. Next, we apply to different grants that are looking for causes like ours, and these grants, if we win them, really help our credibility, and which encourages strangers that find out about our organization to support us as well, since they no longer think of this organization as two teens running some scam, but there's some credibility behind it.
So
And
how old are you now, Shawnt?
I'm 16.
16. How old's your brother?
And I believe we have Sebouh on the
18.
line right now, I think, Adrian.
Yeah,
Sebouh?
I think
Hello.
that, yeah.
Good morning. Where are you two guys? You're obviously not in the same place, right?
Yeah, I'm back home in LA, and my brother is in San Jose.
Okay. So how old are you, Sebouh?
I'm 18.
You're 18. So and who was it really that wanted to sort of start this? Did one of you? Did you both come up with it together, or did you kind of sort of one of you pull the other one into the idea?
Well, here's a quick story. As you guys know, I love cycling, and that's pretty much all I do throughout the day. I should definitely find a job now that school's over. But anyway, this perfect opportunity came together where my passion for cycling met this charitable opportunity, and my parents were talking to the director of the Machawa Orphanage in Kenya, who they wanted to donate money to. And during the conversation, it came up that the kids had to walk 2 hours to school every day, and now that's while they're walking barefoot, some in like sandals in that African heat, and I casually mentioned that maybe we could donate bicycles to them, because I thought that would be the perfect solution. And unbeknownst to me, about a couple of days later, she emailed me asking if I was serious on that suggestion. And obviously, I panicked a bit, but my parents taught me that integrity is the most important quality of someone. So I took this task up seriously. I knew this was a great chance to help these kids and also better my life and change my life for the better. So, and then after that, I obviously asked the help of my brother and surrounded myself with people who could contribute to this cause and people who would support me and everyone else and all those orphans out there. So,
Shawnt, where do you get the bikes from?
We get the bikes from 2 different organizations in Africa. They manufacture and distribute the bikes in their own operating regions. One of the organizations' name is World Bicycle Relief, and the other one is named Quebeca. Pretty much their goal is to simply give bikes to anyone and everyone who needs one and can better their lives with. So what we did was we give the necessary funds to purchase the bicycles to them, and we tell them where to deliver the bikes, and they deliver it for us. And we found that this is the safest and most reliable process of delivering the bikes.
So you basically purchase the bikes directly from where you were, and then you let them deliver them, correct?
Exactly.
You don't give them the money, which is what we found at the Peace Fund. The best way to do that, and those of you out there that are actually listening to this, if you have an organisation, the best way, you always want to make sure that you give it to the manufacturer or the person doing the work. Specifically, so that you know that money's going to where it's supposed to go, because there are many organisations out there that will either use the money for something else that it was not intended for, or not fund it at all. Now, let me ask you another thing. Sebouh, you actually, I know you went to McKinney. You should call it McKinney or McQuenny?
right, I did.
Is it McQuenny or McKinney? McQuenny.
McQuenny.
Okay. So
yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's a little tough to pronounce.
Okay, I want to make sure I'm pronouncing it right. What was it? What you walked to school? I hear that with some of these orphans. What was that like? I mean, I'm sure it's pretty hot, but what was it like?
Oh yeah, man, that was an unforgettable experience. I won't ever forget that walk with those kids. Well, like I said, it's about an hour to school, an hour back. Very few paved roads, and there's a bunch of dirt, rocks, going up little hills and stuff like that. And while I was there, I was walking with my Nikes, and those kids, like I said, were either in bare feet or tattered sandals. So yeah, it's just pretty crazy that they did this walk so many times throughout the every week. But one of the most shocking things was that just a couple minutes away from the orphanage was a landfill where all the residents of the town would throw all their trash there, and would burn it. So all that smoke would constantly be going through their route, and on a windy day it would even reach the orphanage. So God knows how many unhealthy whatever stuff there are growing, and could lead to potential sicknesses and stuff. But so even despite all of these the long walk, the heat, the landfill and everything, one thing that stuck with me was the optimism of the kids. I loved how they would show me, where they would play, all their favorite spots in town, where their friends live, and just kind of gave me a tour of their house. And I won't ever forget how happy they were, how proud they were to show their town, even though they were living in those conditions and had to make that walk every day. So I won't forget that.
One of the things we just talked about a second ago was the ability, or the things we have in this country or in industrialized nations that a lot of kids don't have. As guys that go, you guys are either just leaving school or about to leave school, or you're going to go on, and you're still in that whole school system. Have your friends in that ever thought about this, or have you discussed it with them that these kids have to walk 2 hours a day and they don't get the opportunity to actually just go around the corner for 10 minutes, because most people live 15 minutes away from their school, and then you get truancy and people don't turn up and people don't want to be in class. Has that ever changed any other people's opinions that you've talked to?
I've told them about it. I gave a talk at a middle school once, and I asked them, how many of you drive to school in an air-conditioned car, and that was pretty much everyone. And a lot of the kids who had to walk to school were living a minute away from their the elementary school. So I don't think a lot of people can understand how long an hour of walking in those conditions is, and that walking through dirt and no paved roads and that landfill smoke, it's tough. So people definitely appreciate and understand the things these kids are going through.
You know what you should do? You know what you should do to raise money? You should do it on the hottest day of the year. Do a walk for the hottest day of the year, and do a walk somewhere in a regular, and then say these kids double that and have to do that every single day. Now, do you get what I'm talking about?
That's a good idea.
Yeah,
so,
that's putting it.
It's putting it in perspective for people, because let's say you walk. You live in LA, right? Let's say you're walking from Orange County down. Let's say along the beach. You do an hour walk down the beach. Oh, nice little walk, isn't it? But it's hot, no water. Or even the desert. You could do it somewhere like that, and then that really brings it in perspective for people. But let's talk about something else. You deliver bites to orphans in Armenia as well. What's the situation there?
The kids, when we were fortunate, both Sebouh and I were fortunate enough to, visit the orphans over there, and the situation is just almost as bad. There definitely a little bit more help for the orphans over there, but we went to several orphanages. One was kind of a camp for orphans that didn't really have a place to go during the summer. And it's run by a lovely lady named, she's called the Mother Teresa of Armenia, and she runs this huge 500-kid camp. And pretty much the kids over there just have a chance to grow and kind of develop their skills and whatnot that they don't really have a chance at home. So the bikes really help them, learn more. They get more access to resources that they never had. And pretty much the kids over there were just so grateful that even without the bikes, they were just so resourceful with what they had. And when we were able to give them the bikes, the opportunities just they just had an infinite of opportunities that they could pick and really grow, pick and grow with, I guess you could say.
So for both of you, of all the kids you've helped, and I'm sure you're going to grow and continue doing this because it sounds you're very passionate about it. Is there a certain story that really kind of sticks out for you?
I guess I'll go for one. Oh, do you want to go?
All right. One story that stuck with me in particular was during Kenya. A lot of the older children would use their bikes to go to work. And obviously, if you get to work faster, you could work more and make more money. And while I was walking there around town with my host family, I noticed one of the kids on the bike just riding down to work, and that just made me so happy that not only were they using it, obviously they're using it efficiently. It was obviously making a difference for them because their bike is to work. And another one was only one of the kids had family really far away from the orphanage where they were staying, and because it was so far away, it was kind of pointless to try to walk to his relative's house. So, and the bike gave him the opportunity to see to ride to his relative's house and see them. And I think he said that he hadn't seen them for over a year. So, that shows the power of bicycles, how it gives them mobility and the independence and freedom they need to, go to important places where they can change their lives.
Obviously, these kids were these kids after they finished school or while they were working and going to school? It's interesting because we talked about both.
Oh, both. Yeah, while school was done, then that was time to work.
It's interesting because we were talking this morning about how a lot of parents send their kids to work underage and they don't have the ability to go to school. So in a sense, you're able to do both for them because some of these families that they need people to go to work to actually earn them enough money to eat.
Yeah, the lady at the Dr. Kellen Rowley, the director of the orphanage, she does a great job of fundraising. So she makes sure the kids can go to school as well as go to work and make money.
What do you guys think? What do you guys think the solution? What do you think some of the biggest issues are facing these kids?
Well, I'll say this, and then Shawnt could finish up. A lot of great organizations make hospitals, schools, and other important life facilities. But one thing people sometimes overlook is the transportation problem. And from what I saw in Kenya, the orphanage was so far away from all the important landmarks in the area, like their school and their jobs. So the bike gives them the opportunity to go to those areas, gives them the independence they need to explore different opportunities and create a successful future for themselves. Because for us, it's just a bike, something we just ride around and have fun. But for them, the bike it's a symbol of hope, symbol of confidence. It's their future because with that they could go anywhere. They're not limited to their orphanage. They go anywhere in the region they need to create a successful future for themselves. So that's a solution. So a solution giving them access to all these different places and obviously combining it with the importance of education.
What about you? What about you,
Sean? I think that most importantly, we need to bring more awareness to these orphans. It's really looked over. You're not going to find that many organizations that deal with orphans and their lives and things like that. And I believe that these guys are the future generation of these countries. They're all young, and somehow we just have to be able to untap that innate knowledge and ambition they have to grow. And I think with bikes, we're really opening up their horizons and giving them more opportunities than they would have ever had before. So I think we just need to really focus on how to, grow these, grow the orphans and really give them access to things that they've never had access to. Because every single orphan has this ambition that they're born with to become better than what they are, that the situation that they're put in, but we just need to really access that and open up the world for them.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on this morning, and please continue doing what you're doing because you talk about the kids being the future generation. You guys are just out of that, so what you're doing is actually improving our generation in this country and in other countries around the world, so thank you for that.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
I just want to say it's people like you guys that help organizations like ours prosper and raise awareness for these causes. So thanks a lot.
You're welcome, man. You're welcome. So there we have it.
Awesome.
Fabulous. John, do you have, before I'm going to talk to you again, John, I want to actually talk about some other organizations that are making a difference in this particular situation in trafficking. Share Together, which is sharetogethernow.org. Their mission is to give back what we have in abundance. One of their projects, 8 Days, is a feature film about a modern-day slavery and inspired by actual events. So you can find out about that information at sharetogethernow.org, and also innocenceatrisk.org. They're a 501c3 founded to fight child exploitation and human trafficking. Their mission is to educate citizens about the grave issues of global and local human trafficking. Since 2004, they've actually conducted educational outreach programs through churches, clubs, organizations, schools, and embassies. They also have DVDs, and you can find everything about them on that site. John, I'm going to turn it to you. Do you have any other updates for us currently?
I do. Very quickly, I wanted to say go to facebook.com/bikes for orphans. That's bikes, numeral for orphans, to like their page. Sebouh and Shawnt put a really nice message on their Facebook page earlier today about Peace Fund Radio and LA Talk Radio, letting everybody know to tune in and listen. We appreciate those guys so much. Please like them and show your support. And Adrian mentioned at the top of the show that we're still helping a young man named Jordan. You can go to thepeacefund.org, and in the top right-hand corner, click on Jordan's supporter wall. You can read his story about the incredibly difficult things that this 9-year-old boy has gone through. We're really trying to help him get his education back on track. Just think how many times this week you're going to spend $10 on a lunch that you get to eat one time, and then it's gone forever along with your $10. Please, consider making a donation. You can appear right there on the supporter wall and find out on thepeacefund.org all of the other things that we're doing to raise money and make life better for kids around the world.
So, we have 2 minutes left in the show. Ethan, we're actually doing another thing next. Well, we'll be doing anything else you want to announce here, Ethan, that's coming up and coming?
Well, actually, June 24th, we start a live broadcast run in partnership with Sheila E. at her nightclub, the E-Spot Lounge here in Studio City, which is the old Vitello's on Tahunga Avenue. We'll be doing it each and every Wednesday, picking different causes to work with and different charities to help out. Hopefully, we'll be doing something with you guys.
I think I'm turning up next week.
I think you are coming up for us. Always good for business. Into it. But we'll be doing it with Sheila, and we've lined up a lot of things like different broadcasts. It's actually not it's more of an interactive broadcast. It's going to feature some musical guests. It's going to feature a lot of comic talent. And some of the people lined up to work on it are not just Sheila E., but the members of Oingo Boingo, Disney Imagineer Bob Gurr, Gene Laufenberg, producer and writer of Family Guy, Emmy nominee Mark Banker of Spin City and Space Ghost, a lot of people. Jeff Astroff, producer and writer on Friends. It's a great group of people that are collaborating on broadcasts, and each Wednesday will be a different set of people and an entirely new show. So it's in partnership with Sheila E. and the E-Spot Lounge of Studio City, Combat Radio Live. Looking forward to seeing you there.
So what I want to know is, you said there are comedians there. Are you going to get up? Because I know you're a funny guy. You're a funny
I don't know
guy.
how fun. I'm funny in all the wrong ways, actually. But no, I'm going to get up and do part of it. There are some surprises for the 24th. But I was going to ask if you can actually pick a Wednesday to co-host with me. We'll do like a live broadcast from the stage. So pick a Wednesday, and then we'll make that the Peace Fund Day.
Pick a Wednesday, a Peace Fund Wednesday. All right, we'll see which day we can have a look at on that. We'll talk about that after the show, and maybe in the next few days. All right. So for those of you joining us, we're leaving. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for supporting us. And although we have a lot of fun here, we deal with a lot of serious issues. We love what we do here at Peace Farm Radio, but we can't do it without your support. So please go to our Facebook pages, like us, and also our Twitter pages. And you can also go to the Peace Fund site, as John said, www.thepeacefund.org, and find out what we're doing. John, thank you for joining us this morning.
My honor as always.
Beverly Shahar, thank you for bringing us the stuff, and the rest of the Peace Fund board for donating your time to helping kids everywhere. And in closing, just the closing quote, which is actually, I think, one of the things that Peace Fund Radio should actually have as their standard quote. It's a quote by William Wilberforce. It says, "You may choose to look the other way, but you can never say again that you did not know." This is Adrian Paul and Peace Fund Radio and Ethan Dettenmaier. We'll talk to you next week.
You're listening to Peace Fund Radio with Ethan Dettenmaier and Adrian Paul, right here on LA Talk Radio.